Soundwave TV. We are backstage at Soundwave Melbourne with a very special guest, the mighty Duff McKagan.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mighty.
Yeah,
yes.
mighty. You are mighty. Yeah, just, you know, rock and roll and stuff.
Yeah, I just played a show.
Yeah?
Yeah. It was mighty.
Yeah? You felt triumphant, if you will?
Yeah. Well, we played it sold out Sidewave. For a new band, which we are here, you know, to come and sell out anything, big or small. And it, like the crowd was singing every Loaded song, every word to every Loaded song, and that's really, really fulfilling.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like for me, like Appetite was a perfect rock record.
That record, I mean, we've all had time away from it,
Yeah,
but
of course.
being in the band and being part of writing those songs is extra hard to get
have,
away from
yeah,
it.
to have any kind of perspective on it. Yeah.
And I'm sure I don't still.
Yeah.
But I do understand, like, those songs, we worked so hard on it, and we were at that point in a maturity, which was not quite mature, but we were learning how to write songs, and that chemistry of that band, and working really hard on all the little parts of those songs. We would rehearse twice a day, and we just lived for it.
Yeah.
And when you're 20, you don't have, all you care about is your band. All you care about is that and the next song.
Next show and the next,
Yeah.
Because you grew up in the Seattle punk scene, right? Like, it's funny, I was talking to the guy from Fucked Up, and he's like, I was a huge fan of all of Duff's earlier bands. Like, everyone's like, yeah, Guns N' Roses. And he's like, no, man, like, he's in all these amazing bands in the Seattle punk scene and stuff.
And really, you know, when you're 20 years old and you've been playing in bands for, touring even, for 6 years, you're a veteran.
You were playing in bands at 14?
Yeah.
Wow.
My first gig opened for Black Flag when I was 14.
Killer.
Yeah.
What did that teach you?
That was a big, scary gig to play, and we were called The Veins. It was 1979.
Wow.
14, maybe I was 13. And Ron Reyes was the singer of Black Flag then, and it was scary. They were Black Flag. I'd gone to a bunch of shows, but never opened, not been on a stage.
That was the first time on stage.
On stage, you know, and like there's people out there, and everything's in slow motion or really fast. You're not actually playing.
It's like that whole Einstein like theory of relativity kind of, you know, time isn't actually real and it changes all the time. And, you know, it stops when you meet, you know, the love of your life. It stops when you are in that moment of music and stuff. And yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Did time stop for you when you met the love of your life?
You know, my wife,
Yeah.
Susan, it was a blind date, and we were set up, and we were talking on the phone. I was on tour with the Neurotic Outsiders, which was just after Guns, and I'd just gotten sober. You know, I was sober for like 2 years, and I didn't really know how to deal with women. I had like a big L. And, you know, before that, I was just kind of fucked up and like,
They just came to you.
You with me now, go.
You
Like,
didn't have to, They just came to you.
Well, it was just like caveman stuff. There was no inhibition.
Yeah.
And so with Susan, we were set up on this blind date, and we talked on the phone. She sounded like one of my sisters. I have 3 sisters, and
you felt comfortable.
Comfortable.
Yeah.
But she picked me up at the airport when I got back. I'll pick you up at the airport. I'm like, okay.
Oh.
And so I don't know if anybody knows what my wife looks like, but
She's a babe.
She's a babe,
Yeah.
and she was dressed. I was wearing sweats and like a wife beater, and she's dressed up in full babe costume, and I was just like,
Hello.
hi. We're probably gonna have to go to my house so I can change before we go to dinner. I didn't know you're gonna be wearing all this, but yeah, no, it was like a really slow night. It was beautiful, and
That's cool. And these moments of, you know, first time on stage, falling in love, these things are what matters and what makes us human.
Having a baby.
You know, telling stories.
I didn't have the baby.
No, but you did your part.
I was
and
there.
I'm sure you did it well.
I was there. I did my best. Yeah. So,
what do you have? You've dealt. It must be nice being the lead singer, because obviously you've dealt with some crazy ass lead singers in your time.
Yeah, I just have to. Yeah.
It's nice. Like you just have to deal with yourself now.
It's kind of good. Yeah. Wasn't born out of that me singing. It was just we loaded. Or actually, I made a record in 2001. 2000 or two. I think it came out in 2001.
Yeah.
Squires played on that record.
Yep.
And Dave Dieter from President of the United States. All these characters played on this record, and I called it Loaded, and Then I had to get a band. That's when Jeff came in, and we went to Japan and played these huge shows over there. And I was the singer. Yeah. But I was in school at that point in my life. I went back to college.
Oh yeah, you were studying business, right? Yeah.
And so this was like my college band. Yeah. You know, in reverse, my life.
Yeah. A lot. Played the stadiums, then come back and start.
Yeah.
But that's kind of that's good. It's grounding.
So being the singer wasn't really like I'm going to be the singer because I don't want to deal with some dickhead.
Asshole.
Yeah. It's just I was writing songs and I was in school and I didn't want to just stop playing music. I don't have that ability. And
stop playing music.
To stop playing music. No, and
I'm glad.
Yeah.
Keep going.
I saw Iggy like making these records that he made of his own, and I got to play on this Brick by Brick record. Yep. And Iggy really just did it on his own and called friends to play on this record, and so that's kind of I emulated. Not that I'm Iggy, but I emulated what he did for Brick by Brick for the first Loaded record, and it's turned into a band that we've gone out and toured the world on 3 different records, and it's pretty kick-ass.
Yeah, it's like a whole new frontier.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, it started like that where you weren't sort of setting out for it to be, you know, some big thing. It's like, you know, well, I mean, you might have been, but you weren't like married to the idea of it, you know.
There's no ostentatious presets to this thing. It's just pure rock and roll for the sake of the rock and rollness of it.
And well, because I think you'd know more than anyone, like whenever there's great, you know, riches or great attention or great adulation or great anything, there's always a flip side to it. Yeah. And there's always another side to it. And, you know, everything is good and bad. It's like that whole Zen thing. Like, you know,
absolutely.
Yeah, like, you know, people looking on, it's all been amazing and stuff, but I'm sure there were moments that were challenging.
Yeah. And people ask me, like, some people ask me, like we played an amazing show last night. It was packed, and the people were hanging off the rafters and singing every song. And then, you know, after the show, somebody will ask me, "So how does it feel playing these small places since you played Calder Park here and all this stuff?"
Yeah.
I'm like, it's fucking amazing. Are you kidding me? It's great. It doesn't really matter. There's not one's better than the other, and right now isn't worse than something or better than something else. It's just now. Yeah. And we're doing this thing right now.
In the moment. Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah.
And so
are you guys thinking about another record or?
We're gonna record some more. This is like our last thing on The Taking, our latest record. We've been everywhere else. Now we're here.
Yay.
And we'll get back. We have a bunch of riffs and things. And maybe the perfect song.
Maybe the perfect song is gonna come out this year.
Yes.
Lucky 13. What have been the big sort of catalysts for big musical change in your life and stuff?
Big musical change. Yeah. I see. I'll hear something like hearing Prince back in 1980.
Dude, Prince is such a badass.
Yeah, hearing that Dirty Mind record. Like, this guy's punk rock. And he's like, I grew up in the 70s, right? So Sly and the Family Stone were big influence to me, and punk rock, and Led Zeppelin, and
that's cool. You kind of
Yeah, I grew up in a big family.
Yeah.
I was the youngest at 8. I just wanted something of my own.
Something loud.
Yeah, and it was my own. This is mine. It's not your guys. Punk rock, young
it's my thing.
Yeah, go away.
Do you ever think all that piano stuff with the whole Later Guns things is that punk rock enough or? Well, I mean, that was pretty blunt, but yeah.
Yeah, no. Look, but
for me, I don't know. I love the earthier side of rock and roll.
Right. And Guns. I mean, I gotta say, like, Axl. I came from the punk rock scene, and Axl was more punk than the most punk guy I knew, because it was real. Like there was like a real. He was dangerous. Like, something could happen anytime. He didn't give a fuck.
I'm gonna be
Or he's more metal than the metal guy. He was more Freddie Mercury than, you know, like, he was. So, and that band was punk rock. No, we didn't give a shit. And even when it got huge, and some people say bloated and all that stuff, I was bloated for about 2 years. Like, when most of the pictures were taken, I was bloated.
You looked fine.
Yeah. But it was still like we were doing things on our own terms, in our own bubble.
Yeah.
nothing affected us. No changes in music affected us. We were still playing stadiums, and you know, we didn't. The one thing we couldn't do anymore though was go play a club. Yeah. We were just too big.
And that's kind of sad, because there's something about like the sweat in your face and like falling into people and being able to see the band that close is,
Yeah.
You really kind of went on and forged a new life afterwards. Like, not everyone involved at the time sort of was able to, you know, go forth and keep going and start a new frontier and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, not to bring it down, but like a lot of my peers and friends just didn't make it.
Yeah.
Simply. And I got a second chance at doing this thing over, you know, doing this restarting. I got a restart button, and
you pressed it.
I did, and even like every day, I think what's changed is how brutal like my change had to happen. I had some serious things happen. And
well, you almost died, didn't you? Like, you faced it. Like,
Yeah, and then seeing my mom like in the hospital room. I'm the youngest at 8, and she had Parkinson's. Dude. Really, just dude.
You better grab life with both hands. Yeah.
If you can get out of this hospital, you know, it changed me. It changed me wholly, and so I met some really good people that were heroes to me. You know, I want to be like that.
Who were your heroes?
Well, I mean, Iggy's a hero for sure.
Dude, he's a badass. Yeah.
Steve Jones was really befriended me right after that. I played a band with him. I'm playing with Steve Jones, you know, and my martial arts sensei, this guy I met after that, really was like, I just wanted to live like him, and then met some good guy, Mark Lanigan, became a good friend, and we went through some stuff together, and we were just both changing life, and and then people like, you know, my wife, meeting my wife, I want to be good for, I want to be a hero for her, you know, if I can I do that, you know, and
that's fucking great.
Yeah.
I don't mean to swear, but it is. Like, it's inspiring to keep making, you know, and to keep creating things, because I think, you know, storytelling is what makes us human, and you guys tell stories.
Yeah.
And that's an ancient thing.
And being able to make music with Slash again.
Yeah. How are you guys now? Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
what's happening?
You know, VR, who knows?
Yeah.
Right.
What is with? Didn't Scott just get kicked out of something else?
That's what I'm over here.
Yeah, I think he just got kicked out of Stone Temple Pilots as well.
Somebody forwarded me an email to link to the RollingStone.com. I think it was just yesterday.
Yeah, I saw it yesterday. Yeah. And I was like, what? Again? Because I was like, you guys kept going to come out, and I was going to come and like see your show, and I was like, man, Scott again.
Yeah, that was heartbreaking not being able to come here. And for us, that was the end for us. That's when we were like, okay, we can't.
Who was crazier, Scott Weiland or Axl Rose?
Crazier?
Yeah.
I don't think either guy's crazy or even difficult. It's just sometimes at the time of life, you know, like a band's a really hard thing to have work.
It's an alchemy.
Yeah, and it's sometimes it can, you know, Guns, we did a lot of material, a lot of production of songs and stuff in a very short amount of time, and played a lot of shows. And Scott's a wonderful guy.
He's just gifted. Like, he's a great singer and stuff. Like,
great,
so much soul.
Great melody writer, and it's just too bad to see a guy. You see him stumble, and it's like, dude. And especially around us, like we were all guys who stumbled, and hey, guy,
we've already been there. Yeah.
You're safe with us.
Yeah.
You can. But I wish the best for him.
Yeah.
I would say neither of those guys are crazy.
Yeah, sorry, I don't mean to be so blunt. It's a lot more complex than that.
I mean, if you would have asked Axl in 1993 who's the craziest, it would have been who's the hardest to deal with, Duff. And he probably would have said the same thing. He's a great guy, I love him, he's wonderful, but he's shooting himself in the foot right now. You know, so it all. Who am I to judge?
I'm not saying, no, look, I shouldn't be so casual and flippant about things. Yeah. But, you know, I think you've got to be a little bit crazy to make music. Like HR from the Bad Brains. Yeah. We're talking to, who are we talking to? Someone who, Sick of it all. They used to go their first tours with Bad Brains, and like he's like, you know, HR, you watch him every night and be like, I could never even be like that, but he's completely insane, but in an awesome way.
He was insane in 1981 when I saw them first. I'm like, whoa, that guy's, he might actually, he's got a little something loose. And I saw Adam Ant a couple, like a year and a half ago in London.
He's pretty nuts.
And something, you know, I didn't realize that he had gone into a hospital. But it came out on stage, and I'm like, I'm seeing Adam Ant in London, and this is killer.
Course, yeah.
And he came out, and you could tell, whoa. Well, like everybody kind of back because something happened,
yeah.
And he had like 3 hats on, and
it's a hard life to stay sane in.
Yeah.
Really, isn't it? It's an interesting rhythm. I mean, the whole, you know, like partying is like lunch break to most people.
Right.
You know, like
there's a, you know, but this at a festival like this, a Soundwave, there's such a fellowship between all of these bands. Doesn't matter if you're a metal band or Ghost, like, you know, we are.
Yeah.
You know,
we're about colleagues.
We're colleagues.
Yeah,
we're all
buddies.
We ride in bands together. We go to shows together.
You been hanging out with Metallica and stuff, or?
That first night, but they were staying up on the Gold Coast.
Yeah. So
but I'm
yeah.
good friends with those guys, and look what they've done. Those guys, they just go do whatever. We're Metallica. You got a stadium around here?
Yeah. We got some fireworks.
We got some fireworks. You got a stadium because we want to play a show. What's the worst thing Willie Nelson can say?
What's the worst thing?
After you have sex with him?
What?
I'm not Willie Nelson. Some homeless guy or something.